Welcome to mathematics class today. Today we will be studying how to solve quadratics using the quadratic formula.
Are you trying to be soothing?
Yes.
I think I like regular Anderson better. Me too. I think it's more sleepable.
Unit 2B, day 3, solving quadratics using the quadratic formula. Today's objectives. By the end of the hour, you will be able to solve quadratics using the quadratic formula. Objective 2. You will learn what the discriminant is and how to determine what the discriminant is in an equation. Objective number 3. You will be able to sing out loud the quadratic formula song using a method of my choosing. Let's start out with the review. The last several days we have been working on factoring. Please solve this equation by factoring.
This is such college professor. 3 and 4. That's the numbers that are for 7 and 1. Got it?
From what you have learned this past several days, if we had a quadratic trinomial, the method for solving a quadratic trinomial was use the x method. On the top was a times c, which in this instance is 1. On the bottom was your b value. In this instance was 7. So we're looking for two numbers that multiply together to be 1 that add up to be 7. The only factors of 1 are 1 and 1. So if I put a 1 there and a 1 there, it does not work. Since it does not work, this quadratic cannot be factored. However, we do need to understand how to solve this quadratic. So we are going to use a different method today. We are going to use what we call the quadratic formula. So we are going to use the quadratic formula today to solve and find the zeros of the quadratic equation.
Will we be getting this? Wait, are these just going to be A, B's, and C's like in the standard form?
Go ahead, write it down. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
There's actually a song. I remember this because of Ike.
X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
I'm God who made that.
The quadratic formula. Okay, that sucked. That was boring. Okay, so we're going to do the quadratic formula today. Obviously, we just heard the dude singing it. That was our third objective. You have to be able to sing it using that. You weren't listening. See, when I talk like that, you don't listen. That's why I don't talk like that. Our third objective today was for you to be able to sing that song in my method of choosing. Just keep that in mind. See, you weren't listening. You just slid right by you. See, it's an objective for the day. And according to people that teach better than I do, have to do what your objectives are for the day. So, we're going to solve quadratics today using the quadratic formula. We use the quadratic formula when something isn't factorable. It's nice when they're factorable. It's quicker when they're factorable, but not all equations are factorable. Like that last one, we'd have to use a quadratic formula to solve that. Okay, so when you're doing the quadratic formula, obviously, we're going to post that up there. You're not going to have to memorize it. It's going to get stuck in your head eventually. If I keep playing the song, it gets stuck in your head anyway. We'll post that on the wall or the cupboards of formulas, so you don't have to worry about memorizing it, so to say. What you do have to keep in mind when you're using the quadratic formula is you do need to keep in mind that it needs to be in standard form. So ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So that's the first thing that you need to do. So if we have x squared minus 5x equals 6, it's not in standard form. We've got to put it in standard form. So we're going to do that. So that's going to be x squared minus 5x. The 6 needs to move to the other side of the equation, so we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. So we've got x squared minus 5x minus 6 is equal to 0. Okay, so we've got that part of the world then taken care of. The next thing I like to do is I do like to list the a, b, and c value. It just helps me down the line. So my a value is going to be the value that's out in front of the x squared. There's not a number there, so as always, we understand it to be a 1. Whether it's a capital A or a lowercase a, who cares? Depends on how I'm writing it during any given time. The b value is the value that's out in front, along with that symbol that's out in front of the x. So in this case, it's negative 5. So b is negative 5. C is your constant at the end. Our constant at the end here, along with its symbol, is negative 6. So C is equal to negative 6. Okay, so now we go through the formula. Oh, it's not going to work. Go! Just ruined my whole lesson. I'm done. I'm not going to teach anymore. It's all done. Just ruined the whole thing. So we go through the formula. X is equal to negative b. So that's the negative of negative 5. For this first time that I'm going through it, I'm just going to put everything that I substitute in inside parentheses. Always a good idea to put everything inside of parentheses. Second time we do it, you know the opposite of negative 5 is 5. So you can just put 5. Not the first time, though. Plus or minus the square root of b squared. My b value is still negative 5, so I'm going to put that inside of parentheses. So negative 5 squared minus 4. I'm substituting in my a value, which is 1. I'm substituting in my c value, which is negative 6. All of that is being divided by 2 times 1. Now, again, that's substituting everything in, technically the mathematical way, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Realistically, how are you going to write it? Okay. Realistically, if I say the opposite of b, you look at your b value, and your b value is negative 5. The opposite of negative 5 is 5. Plus or minus the square root. You look at it and you say b is negative 5. Negative 5 times negative 5 is 25, so you make this a 25. This is where it gets now a little bit confusing, and you have to be really careful. This minus 4 times a times c. This part messes people up all of the time. Because you got to remember, you got to follow order of operations. Those stupid TikToks that they have up there all the dang time where they're like, what's the answer? Follow the order of operations and you'll get the answer right. But if you don't follow the order of operations, you're going to get the answer wrong. Okay? This part here has to be taken care of first. Okay? That part has to be taken first. So notice I didn't even highlight the negative. Okay, I didn't highlight that. So it's minus 4 times 1 times negative 6. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. So that's negative 24 right there. All divided by 2 times 1. That's all divided by 2. Okay. And again, what's the common error in there? The common error is people put 29 times 6, or they don't get the negatives right. Just be careful. Can you plug it in your calculator? Yes. But if you plug it in your calculator, make sure you use the parentheses. If you plug it in your calculator, plug it in just like this whole thing. underneath here. And this is called the discriminant, by the way. We'll talk about that in a little bit. That was our second objective for the day. If you type it in the calculator, just like what I have highlighted right there, it'll give you the right answer every single time. But you got to type it in that way with the parentheses included. Okay? Well, it'll give you that part of it anyway. So now we simplify. So this is 5 plus or minus the square root. 25 minus negative 24. A minus and a minus makes a plus. So 25 plus 24 is 49. That's divided by 2. Now, we know the square root of 49, so it's good. We like it when it's a perfect square underneath there. Is that going to happen all the time? No. Do we like it when it happens? Of course. So it becomes 5 plus or minus, square root of 49 is 7, divided by 2. Okay, now what does all of this plus or minus mean? Here's what the plus or minus means in between. There's two solutions. Your first solution is 5 plus 7 divided by 2. We'll simplify that in a second. Your second solution is 5 minus 7 divided by 2. Nice 2. So it has two solutions. It's 5 plus 7, 5 minus 7. Two solutions. 5 plus 7 is 12. Following order of operations, 12 divided by 2 is 6. So there's one of your solutions. Or 5 minus 7 is negative 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. So your solutions for this are 6 or negative 1. Two solutions. A lot of times these are going to have two solutions. Okay. So those are your solutions for this. Now, the nice thing, if it is a whole number, it does mean that technically speaking you could have done that. But that's not what we're doing today. You got to use the quadratic formula today to do these. Okay? You can, yes. The quadratic formula can be used for any quadratic equation. Even some countries don't even teach how to factor. Because why? You don't need to be able to factor to solve quadratics. The quadratic formula always works. Always. As long as it's quadratic and a trinomial or binomial. Yeah. You're probably not going to use it in some instances, but whatever. Let's look at the second one. It's just the formula again. So we're going to solve then x squared minus 7 equals negative 2x. So it's not in the correct form. So step 1 needs to be to put it in the correct form. So that's x squared plus 2x minus 7 equals 0. Again, I didn't show the adding of 2x. You guys should be at the point where you realize how to do it. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and list the a, b, and c. What's my a value? No. Yeah. What's my b value? 2. C value? Negative 7. There you go. So there's my a, b, and c. So we've got that. So now that we know our a, b, and c, x is equal to negative b. So b is 2. So negative b is negative 2. Plus or minus the square root. B squared. B is 2. 2 squared is 4. Minus 4ac all over 2a. All right. Now notice what I wrote this time. Although it's on the side, you can't really see it. So I can just kind of move it over there like that. This is like the minimum of what I like to see from you guys. Because this way, I know if you get 96 for what's underneath the radical, I can figure out what you did wrong. If you just try to put 96 and that's not the right answer, I have no clue how you did it. So this is kind of the minimum of what I want to see. Okay, now we go ahead and figure it out. So it's negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 4 times 1 times negative 7 is negative 28. All divided by 2. Everybody good? So negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 plus 28, 32, divided by 2. Are we done? No. Do we know the square root of 32? I do. You probably don't. Maybe some of you do. So because it's not a perfect square, that means we have to do the factor tree. And yes, you'll be expected to do the factor tree. 8 and 4 works. 8 is... Okay, now here's kind of a hint. Stop. You don't have to go any further with it. Why don't you have to go any further? Because there's 2 of them. There's 2 4s right here. Since there are 2 4s right there, just stop. So that makes it negative 2 plus or minus 4 radical 2 over 2. Could you have gone 2 and 2 and 2 and 2? That 2 has a buddy, take it out. That 2 has a buddy, take it out. 2 times 2 is 4. You get the same answer. Once you get that pair when you're doing the factor tree, stop. Hammer time. Are we done?
No, we're not done. We have to divide by 2.
No, we're not, but if you get to this point on the test, I'm not going to be disappointed. Okay, and I'm probably not going to say much about it if you do that. However, if you're taking any type of assessment, ACT, MCA, QRX, whatever, that's not going to be an answer. So your answers that they would do, they've got this negative 2. You do negative 2 plus 4 radical 2, and then you're going to put all of these over 2. That's just that divisor right there. And then you'd have negative 2 over 2 minus 4 radical 2 over 2. But what's negative 2 divided by 2? That's negative 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So negative 1 plus 2 radical 2 and negative 1 minus. These would be what show up on an MCA test or an ACT test. If you get to here, I'm more than happy. Yeah, I'm not gonna get upset about it. I can't speak for what Reinen or Shara would do, but I'm not them. Okay? Any questions with that one? Okay, so now let's look at this one. And this is the last one we're going to do with the quadratic formula. I think we'll be okay. We're going to talk about it, and then we'll finish it. We'll list the A, B, and C together, and then I'm going to have you do the rest yourself. Then we still have to talk about the discriminant and sing the song. What's my A value?
0. Or no, 2.
2. What's my B value? Negative 7.
0.
I don't have a C there, so what is it? 0. Okay? 0. All right. Go ahead and go. Finish the rest of it.
That one thing. Oh, what's it called? Yesterday.
One. No!
Jeez.
3, 4, 5. I got to shut it off because if I don't shut it off, YouTube will block my video. Where'd it go?
It went bye-bye.
Maybe I'll get ad profit if I play this one.
If you try
to solve a quadratic equation. I promise you it's possible without any frustration if you take everything, move it to one side, solve by x squared x and the rest. Alright, now take the coefficients, name them a, b and c, and if you know the right formula, you will see that you get the solution in the very next step. Just sing the song in your head. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a.
He sounds right.
Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, let's start with our equation, and our job is gonna be solving this now for x. So let's take minus c, multiply by 4a, and if you now add b squared, it all looks way too complicated. But don't be scared, just take a close look to the left side and you see there's a binomial formula with 2ax and b. So altogether this is the square of 2ax plus b, and now we have only 1x. So the next step will be to get rid of the square. And if the right side is not negative, the square root must be one solution. But that's an alternative, because minus the square root yields the same if you square it. So we write plus minus, and now we are at the point where it only takes 2 more steps to solve it for x. And if you look to the left side, you know what will be next. Subtraction of a and division by 2a is giving us a formula for x. Okay, and it's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a.
So plus or minus 49 minus 4 times 2 times 0 all over 2 times 2 now that I did it right. 7 plus the square root of 49 over 4. Square root of 49 is 7. So that'd be 7 plus or minus 7 over 4, which is not 14 over 4. It's 14 over. So 14 over 4, which is 7 over 2. 7 minus 7 is 0. 0 over 4 is 0. So the solutions that you should have got for that after all of that was 7 halves and 0. I wonder if they'll block that now.
Didn't think about that, huh? It's okay, you can check it out.
Can we solve using the quadratic formula? Are we okay? Everybody okay? Got the song stuck in your head?
No. All I got is
I ain't playing it anymore. All right, so then that leads to you not having to do that one. That leads to the last part of it, the last objective, is what we call the discriminant. The discriminant,
Is a person being discriminated?
it's a number being discriminated against. The discriminant of a quadratic equation is this b squared minus 4ac part. Now, remember what the whole goal of this is. The whole goal of this is to find the solutions or the zeros. Those solutions are zeros is where it crosses the x-axis if we're going to graph this. The discriminant, in a sense, tells you if the graph is ever going to intersect the x-axis. Okay? So b squared minus 4ac is considered to be the discriminant. If the discriminant is positive, meaning you put in the b squared minus 4ac and you get a positive number, if you do that and you get a positive number, there are 2 solutions to your equation. Okay, so if what is underneath that square root is positive, you're going to have 2 solutions. If what's underneath that b squared minus 4ac, what's underneath the square root, if it's 0, there's 1 solution. If it's negative, there are no solutions. So positive means 2, 0 means 1, negative means no solutions. So if you're just asked to do the discriminant, you just need to do the b squared minus 4ac. And again, it's got to be in standard form. So if we look at the first one, x squared minus 5x equals 6. The first thing we have to do is put it in standard form. So x squared minus 5x minus 6. Now, all we're interested in is if it's what its discriminant is. So a is 1, b is negative 5, c is negative 6. So b squared is 25 minus 4 times 1 times negative 6. So if we just look at this, we follow order of operations, this is going to be 25 plus something. Negative 4 times 1 times negative 6 is 24. 25 plus 24 is a positive number. It's 49. So that means there are two solutions to that. And we found that earlier. We found them with this question. Okay. The second one, 3p squared minus 6 minus 2p. Again, if we're just looking for the discriminant, so that should be plus 2p, right? Minus 6. So I'm just going to do b squared. B is 2. 2 squared is 4. Minus 4 times a, which is 3, times c, which is negative 6. Now, in my brain, I'm looking at this. Is that going to be positive or negative? Negative 4 times 3 times negative 6. It's positive, right? So 4 plus something is going to be a bigger positive. So this is going to have two solutions. Hey, could I figure it out? Yeah, but I don't have a calculator.
Can't you just do it in your head? Negative
I don't know. What's 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 6 is 72. 4 plus 72 is 76. So yes, I can.
As you should.
Okay. Okay.
I would have to get there one.
The other solution.
This one?
There's two solutions.
There's two solutions, but the 76 isn't the solution. The 76 is just telling us that there are two solutions. I'm not asking you what the solutions are. I'm just asking you how many they are. So when they ask you for the discriminant, they're just asking you how many solutions there are. You don't have to find them. The discriminant itself is 76. That 76 tells you that there are two solutions. You don't need to give me what those two solutions are. Okay? So p squared plus 2p plus 10. B squared is 4 minus 4 times a times 10. So that's 4 minus 40. So that's negative 36. How many solutions are there if it's negative? None. No real solutions, but no solutions. Discriminant makes sense? Can find the discriminant? You know if it's positive, negative, or whatever? Okay, so we can solve the quadratic equation. We can determine what its discriminant is, and we can sing the song. Whichever version I get for you, the rap version or the other one. Isn't that what we just listened to? Kind of. Okay, it wasn't rap. It was whatever that dude was doing.